Now, I apologize in advance, guys. This video was actually scheduled to showcase the Daytona range, but I had a really short window to look at a Patek Philippe 5711. Why is this watch important and what makes it so special? And is it really worth 3 times of its value in the aftermarket? Is what we're gonna find out in this video. Let's get into it. Now, welcome back to Watch the Slide. I'm your host. My name is Rida. You know, this whole YouTube journey is very interesting. I actually learned a lot from it, whether it be from creating content to curating it. Last week, I've done this whole coffee B-roll footage with my iPhone for absolutely no reason, but it was fun doing it. And I learned from you guys as well that certain areas I needed to improve, whether it be audio or light in certain videos. So of course, I've gladly taken this as an opportunity to upgrade the entire gear. Picked up a proper mic, I think a decent light as well. I'm not really sure if this is the highest end light you can find in the market, but I read some reviews about it and I thought it's an interesting opportunity to find one. My wife wasn't too happy about it, but then I thought, you know what, if the output is gonna be great, then why not?
Of course, this 5711 does not need any introduction, designed by the legendary Gerald Genta, who also designed the steel Royal Oak for Audemars Piguet in 1972 when it first made its debut, and the Nautilus in 1976. The design language with the rounded octagonal shape of the bezel and horizontally embossed dial emphasizes the elegant sport watch that the Nautilus is meant to be. A self-winding mechanical movement carrying the caliber 26330C with a date and a sweep second hand. The case is made out of stainless steel, 40 mm in size and thickness of 8.5 mm with a screw down crown. Sapphire crystal back, of course, so you can see the beautiful movement with water resistant that goes up to 120 meters. The strap is made out of steel as well, with the famous, of course, Nautilus folding over clasp.
Now, of course, the name Patek Philippe is among the most powerful in the watchmaking industry as a whole. It is synonymous with class, high value, and makes some of the best traditional and sport watches now or ever made, period. Now, of course, the rarity of Patek Philippe would mean a very long waiting period. That's what they tell you at the boutique. It's 10 years, which is honestly, in my opinion, a very ridiculous period. I have not come across a single person that owns this watch, and I know a few of them that did actually wait for 10 years to get it. I mean, that's a very long time. But Patek Philippe also wasn't satisfied with this. They said, you know what, the wait time is one thing, but why don't we top up the price by 20%? That's the retail price I'm talking about. All in which, of course, factors for me and you to go and consider this watch from the aftermarket, if we really want it. But the million-dollar question is it worth almost 3 times of its value? The first point is not entirely negative, and that's to do with weight. I mean, this watch is remarkably light, as in if you have it on your wrist, you will not even feel it. Some people, of course, appreciate that. For me personally, I do not know why I associate weight with luxury. Rolex and AP put just about the right amount of weight on their steel watches. On the Nautilus, however, it's super light, and honestly, it doesn't feel like you're wearing something that is almost $70,000, or I guess it's between $65,000 and $70,000 based on the current market. The second down point for me for this 5711 is actually the folding clasp. It's not a fun experience to actually lock it and unlock it. It takes a little bit of time, and I can appreciate they've done that for security reasons. But at $35,000 retail price, come on Patek, you can actually do better than that. Something as simple as a Rolex Explorer or a GMT or even a Submariner, it is actually super easy to use the deployment clasp, but it's also a joyful experience to hear the locking sound. I mean, check it out for yourself. I don't mean to be pointing fingers at Patek in any way, of course, but at the price point, and I'm talking about the retail price point, let alone the aftermarket, I don't think there should be any room for errors or any tolerance for design flaws. In my own personal opinion, or if I were to request this, if Patek is ever watching this in the future, is to maybe deliver a better locking system, or I guess one that is easy to use.
I mean, at the end of the day, I completely understand that this is not what you're paying for. You're not paying for a heavy watch in weight, and maybe the lock system does not really bother you so much. In fact, in simple monetary terms, it stands to reason that anything with so much heritage, innovation, high quality craftsmanship, and exclusivity is going to be worth a great deal of money. And yes, it would hold its value for when your grateful child takes ownership of it.
But does all this, of course, justify paying triple of its value in the aftermarket? No. And I think we in the social media space, whether it be YouTube or Facebook or online journalists, for example, likely bear some of the responsibility for the increase or high prices of, say, the Nautilus or any really luxury watch for that sake. I don't think the Patek Philippe 5711 is actually worth 3 times of its value. I don't even think it's worth 2 times of its value. I actually think there is a question even at the retail price point. When you pay $35,000 to Patek, I would actually expect a little bit more in terms of that locking system. I don't want to spend 5 to 10 minutes just trying to figure out how I'm going to put this watch on. If I pull it too much, am I actually going to break it? I think it should come with a little bit of ease. The other point that I mentioned earlier as well is that somehow, and maybe that's just me, I'm not really sure if there are others that think the same way, I associate weight to luxury watches. And for the $35,000, I expect a little bit more weight on the wrist. I mean, something that I could at least feel. Up next, of course, we're going to be looking at the Rolex Daytona range. We're going to look at the steel, the gold, the oyster flex, as well as the rainbow bezel Daytona in the same time, which I'm very excited about. Now, of course, to conclude, you don't buy a Patek Philippe 5711 from the aftermarket because it's worth the value or not. You buy it because you want to, and most importantly, because you can. It's not a cheap watch at the end of the day. That, of course, brings us to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed watching, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell at the bottom as well so you're notified when I've got similar content up. Until I see you guys on the next one, thank you for watching and take care.